Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them, and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking
Yeah.
through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes, get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN. Hey, Anita. Wake up, get over here.
Oh, okay, I'm coming.
Like, for real, she's in the bed. Her bed, don't worry.
Hi, guys.
Sorry for this crappy recording. It's what you get when we travel.
It is what it is.
Okay, we're in Australia,
Yes, we are.
and I got to see the baby Joeys. I can't even handle it, but that's not why we came originally. So Anita's going to tell you all about the first part.
About traveling or
Oh.
about Camp Widow?
Well, whatever you want.
Oh. We flew on a plane for about 7.5 days to get here. Mel slept, I'm not even joking, for about 13 of the 14 hours from the flight from LA to Sydney. She just was like cocooned in a little ball and didn't move.
I had drugs. I was very wise.
For me, it was like a weird fever dream. I would wake up and it was like, where am I? Anyway, we got here and then we flew to Brisbane, and we're in beautiful Brisbane. It's like such a beautiful temperature here, and the people are really nice. But something you have to remember, Mel,
What?
is to look the other direction when you cross the road.
Thank you to our friend Erin, who is our wrangler now, because every time we cross the street, we look the wrong way. And also, every time we walk on a sidewalk, we're walking on the wrong side. So we're like those people.
Yeah, we're trying. We're getting better. We found one of our good friends, like Mel said, Erin. She's been helping us. Our trip times have coincided, and she has been gracious enough to kind of put her wants in the back seat, and she's the one who took us, helped us get to the koala sanctuary where we got to hold the koala. They're so
She's
so
also the
cute.
reason that I know that there are baby Joeys that people foster. So thank you, Erin. Oops, there's my alarm. I guess I'm supposed to wake up. You're getting the real deal, everyone.
The jet lag is so crazy. We are 16 hours different. Is that right? Mm-hmm. From home. And so we just don't know what it is. Day, night. We keep waking up in the middle of the night, being ready to be awake. And then at about 5 p.m., we're like, we can't be awake anymore. But hopefully that's getting a little better.
Yeah, we're here for a few more days, and we're going to get it just on the last day. And then we're going to go home and have problems.
So we had Camp Widow Brisbane. It was so fun to be here with all the Australians. We were a little bit nervous before we started. We're like, what if Australians think we're stupid and they don't like us? But guess what we found? They are pretty snarky and sarcastic, just like us. So we've had a great reception here. We had a really good attendance at our presentation. Yeah.
And we did 3 of them.
Yeah, we helped with a lot of things here in Brisbane. So we've been real busy and we've been able to chat and meet a lot of new friends. So hello, new friends, if you're listening to this episode and it's the first one you're listening to.
Can I talk about a very surprising new friend I met?
Of course.
You guys, you know we talk about synchronicity sometimes. So one of my high school tennis coaches became a glioblastoma widow recently. Well, I mean, she became the widow recently, and her husband had glioblastoma for a while. And in the years since I've known her, my dad played tennis next to her dad, right? Well, so she lives in the States, of course, because I went to high school in the States. So yesterday, I get a message from her, and she's like, one of my friends is Australian, and she's at the conference, and I told her to go find you. So it turns out that we had a mutual friend that happened to be my former high school tennis coach and now widow friend. And this lady lives in Australia, and she's so awesome. So it's really amazing the connections that you can make with other widows, and you might know somebody that you didn't know before. Mm-hmm. You just, kind of pay attention. So isn't that wild?
It's so crazy. Yeah.
That's my life story. I go weird places and then there's these weird connections. So
halfway across the world.
You guys, okay, can we go back to talk about the koalas? Because I cannot even stop. You guys, if you ever get a chance to go hold a koala and pet baby joeys and kangaroos, you have to do it. It is 100 bajillion% everything you think and more.
You know what I'm having an awesome fun time discovering, Mel?
What?
The candies, the lollies of Australia. They're so fun.
Anita discovered bullets. Not bullets that would harm you.
But they're licorice covered in chocolate, and they call them bullets. And there's been so many other things where I'm like, yes! So we went to the store, we bought all the chocolate. We're going to go back and buy more chocolate so I can take some home to my kids, and can take some home to her, her mom and her people. But it's so fun. I love it so much. I'm like a kid in a candy shop.
A candy shop named Australia.
Uh-huh.
And last night, thanks to our tour guide / skate mom, Erin, we went to a skate park.
It was terrifying.
And I made Anita do one thing. And then I did 3 things.
Yes. You did 5 things.
Oh, I did 5 things. You guys, it was scary, actually, because everybody moves so fast. There's the people that skate that are really good, and they're really fast, and they just kind of take over. But then there's the kids that don't know what they're doing. And sometimes they just, push their skateboard across the skate park and you could die falling on it. Anyway, it was flying people and flying boards everywhere, but we did it. Anita did it. Yes, we carted our skates across the world. It was worth it. Whatever. And yeah, Australia, 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. 5 out of 5 would recommend, except for the flight to get here and the jet lag.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I don't remember any of it. Klonopin, everyone. Klonopin.
We're gonna skip out on the Patreon shout out today because we don't have our list of people.
Well, we're a disaster, and this is recorded on my iPad, so thank you for making it through to the end of this. This is going to be a short introduction, but we really hope that you enjoy this episode coming up because it's about something that a lot of people might be scared to talk about because they don't want to offend other grievers in wherever they are with their grieving, but it is something that is pertinent to their life, and that is dun 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 dating widows.
I do want to say though, thank you to our Patreons. You are the reason that we were able to travel to Australia and be here and share some of our message with people who maybe would not be able to access or would not know. We've met so many people who have never heard of the podcast and now they're going to start listening. So you've made it possible for us to help more people. So thank you so much. We hope you enjoy this episode. It has been long asked for, so hopefully everybody who is in this spot in their grief will be able to find something useful, or at least identify with some of the stories in here.
And if you're still kind of traumatized by the word dating, you don't have to listen. But if you're kind of curious, you can listen, and just remember that the decision is always up to you.
Absolutely. All right, should we do it? I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
We are two young widows down under, and we're trying to figure out.
You just did that American thing.
I know. And we're trying to figure out widow.
We
do
now.
This is an exciting day. Today, we have convened a council of elders or something like that.
Yes.
Of widows and widowers. A while ago, we wanted to do an episode about dating. So we sent out a little survey to kind of find out information from different people about some of their thoughts around dating and some of their experiences around dating. And then when we got that information back, we were trying to decide what to do with it, because there are so many different experiences, and it's really hard to congeal that down into any one, set of information. So we decided that we would have a round table, and we would invite some of those people who had responded to our little survey to come talk to us on an episode. So we have them here today with us.
Welcome, everybody. Now we've been kind of, mean leaders, and we've made them mute themselves, so they're not all going to say hello at once. But we're going to go around and have everybody introduce themselves one by one, and they're going to tell us a little bit about themselves and their situation. On my screen first, we have Lisa. Lisa, would you mind going first? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Lisa. I live in Texas, Spring Branch, Hill Country. I've been widowed almost 3 years. It was sudden. He died of an overdose, completely unexpected. I was 45 and I'm dating.
Yeah, and just by the way, Lisa shares the best memes.
Yes, she does.
Humor definitely helps.
Okay, well, welcome, Lisa. Next, we have Suzanne.
Hey, I'm Suzanne. I'm from Massachusetts, and my partner of 17 years died very suddenly 2 years ago, like just dropped dead. And I was there for it. So that's entertaining. I've been dating for I've been seeing the same person for just shy of a year now.
Welcome, Suzanne. Next, we have Elise.
Hello. I'm from Michigan. My husband died back in 2020, so it's almost been 2 years. He was 33, I was 32, and I've started dating in February of this year, so not that long.
Marianne, you are next.
Hello, my name is Marianne. I've lived in Bend, Oregon for just a year. My husband died unexpectedly November 25th, 2020, so I've been about 18 months. He died when I was 72, and I'm 74 now, and I would like to date again, but that's been quite an interesting journey being my age.
And Marianne, you were in New Mexico before, correct?
That's correct, Santa Fe.
Okay, so you've not only experienced the loss, you have also moved.
Yes.
That's a lot in a short amount of time.
It was a lot. And right before that, I had COVID. So it was a shitty year, to say the least.
I'm sorry that you're here, but also we know that you're really fun and cool. So I'm sorry that we know you, but we're glad to know you.
Thank you, Mel.
Next, we have another Anita.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to find a reason to have Anita on here just because Anitas are cool, but here we go.
We are freaking cool. Hi, my name's Anita Kachera. I live in Oklahoma City. My husband died August the 1st of 2020. It was very sudden and unexpected. He died from complications of open heart surgery. He had a pre-existing condition that we were unaware of. He had a heart attack. On July 16th, he went in for surgery July 21st, and he never woke up. And we made the decision on August 1st to remove him from life support. So we have 2 young children. I say young, they're adults. They're young to me. We have a son who is 24, almost 25. He's a police officer. And then my daughter is 21, and they both live here locally. Yeah.
Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts, and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Now, are you dating? Are you wanting to date? What's the situation there?
I have been seeing someone for 6 months now. We met in a grief support group that I only went to because a friend of mine was just like, I think it'd be great for you. And I was like, I don't really want to talk to a bunch of people I don't know in a room. There were some widows in there. It's a general grief support group. There were some widows in there. Most of them had been married longer than I had even been alive. So it was a little different. I was the only one in there, obviously in my age range, but another gentleman he's 8 years older, was in there. His wife died a few months after my husband did. And after a couple of months of being in this group, we really hit it off. And he asked me for coffee, and the rest is history.
All right. Well, welcome, Anita 2.0. Yes. All right. And last but definitely not least, we have Mark.
Hi, my name is Mark. I'm from Gilbert, Arizona. I lost my wife in October 2021, so about 9 months ago. So just had a short 4-month battle with cancer, colon cancer. I think I started dating just a little bit, maybe about 4 months ago. Not in any relationship right now, just kind of dating a little bit here and there. So, and then I've got 3 kids. So I got a 22-year-old, 20-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So she was 46 when she passed. I was 50 at the time.
Thank you for being our lone voice of widowerdom.
There you go.
In our group. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate that you guys are willing to open up and share your experiences so other people can, learn a little bit and feel more normal in this process. I'm curious to know if, when you started dating, it was a conscious decision to date, or if it was like Anita kind of described, it was more of a fell into your lap kind of a thing. Somebody just appeared and you started dating them, or if you made the conscious decision to begin dating.
Elise, go.
I mean, I'm always one to go first. So, randomly enough, so it was back in February, I had applied for a new job. It's still on the university campus I work for. But I applied for a new job, and I was like, okay, well, I guess if I'm going to apply for this job and decide that it's okay to start moving forward that way, I downloaded a dating app at the same time. And so it's just been dating apps. So it's super conscious decision. I don't know. It was a weird kind of moving forward with that kind of part of my life instead of, I don't know, staying in my comfort zone of where I work and, not dating anyone. So
Anita.
Okay. True story. About a month before this, I guess it was about 2 or 3 months before he asked me out. A friend of mine had convinced me. She's like, you should try a dating app. I got on there. I set up a profile. It stayed up for 15 minutes. I got one message. I panicked and deleted the whole thing because I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not ready to do this. I can't do this. I don't want to be with some random stranger that I met. It completely freaked me out. I deleted the whole thing and said, yeah, that's not going to work for me. I'm just not going to do that. So what did end up happening was just, we related really well in group, and he randomly asked me for coffee. I told him, I said, I don't know that I ever want to get remarried. And if you're okay with that, then I could pursue this, but I just need you to understand that. And he was like, okay. So, um,
That's such a good point, though, because I think a lot of us that have been in those marriages or very long-term committed relationships, there's something that's kind of scary about that.
yes. And we were both married long term. I was married for 28 years and he was married for 35. So the idea was very, very daunting. Like, I didn't think I would be able to do it, and honestly did not expect the relationship that I'm in to go anywhere. I was just like, okay. My friend, one of my best friends, is also a widow, and she said, just do it. She had just gotten remarried after 12 years of being a widow, and she's like, just try it. It's just coffee. It's not a big deal. And like, I don't know about this.
Suzanne.
I was just gonna actually agree with what Anita said about the apps, in as much as like I'd seen on a number of other widow groups, people talking about trying to gauge whether or not they're ready to date, and then downloading an app, creating a profile, turning it on, and then just like backing out 5 minutes in. But I think that's like great. That's something good to hear from people, right? Just because you want to give it a try, like it doesn't mean you have to keep going forward, right? If you don't feel comfortable, you come back out. And I feel like hearing that from other people who are going through it is really helpful. And I did try an app, and Anita, I just assume you probably have the same situation where we were together for so long, it was pre-app dating. So like you met people in real life, which, just seems easier. Like if you can find a place to meet people, I guess, it's just what I'm more familiar with. So the apps are a little terrifying because it's like gamifying and shopping for humans. It's very awkward.
Yes. Completely unnerving. A friend of mine was with me when I did it, and she sat there and laughed at me. She was like, "You are such a dork," because I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got a message. I didn't even read the message. Don't know what it said. Have no clue. Just deleted the whole thing and said, I'm done. I can't do this."
Lisa.
So I don't think I never made a conscious decision to date, but I'd consciously made a decision to not date for my first year. I wanted to get through all my big first. And then I guess it was probably the 13th month, a guy slid in my DMs on Instagram. And he was local-ish. And I followed his business page or something. So yeah, he reached out and asked me for lunch one day, and it was lunch. So I went out with him, and he seemed normal for the lunch date. Not so normal on the second date. And then that was kind of a real short-lived thing. I discovered later that he actually had a long-distance girlfriend. So yeah, it fizzled out. Fizzled out really fast, I would say. The next guy I dated invited me to coffee. He was a friend. He had even known Derek, and he wanted to take me out to coffee and give me a hug. And then I don't know, somehow it turned into like a 1.5 year long situationship.
Situationship, I like that.
It never really turned into a relationship, not the one that I wanted. And so we broke up. We started ending things at the end of February. I probably drug things out for a long time, till the end of April, first part of May. Even though I knew things were really ending, I was having a really hard time because I didn't want another loss. I think that's probably a natural widow reaction to your first big relationship. We had been seeing each other, like I said, 1.5 years. And I don't know, ultimately he chose somebody else, which sucks. I did do a dating app. I did Facebook dating, and I thought it would boost my ego, but it kind of backfired.
Oh no.
You end up with when you're new on there, then a ton of people are messaging you, and so then it's just a bunch of small talk, every single day with like 30 guys, and it was awful. And I had to get way picky, because it was just too much. It was like an energy time suck. So I didn't really like that. I started dating some of the guy that I was in the situationship with. I started dating a couple of his friends just to be mean and petty.
So you've had a lot of ways of going about dating.
Yeah, and now I'm in a singles group, like a local singles group, and still dating. I met a guy while I was in my situationship, and I never really gave it much thought, but we had kind of met organically. He saw me out one night and then slid in my DMs. And now I'm kind of giving that a chance. But in the singles group, I also kind of found like, oh, this is going to make you sound so bad. I kind of found like a friend with benefits. So it takes that pressure off of this whole dating thing, and I can just date, and physical needs are being met. So I will refer to my friend with benefit as my emotional support penis. And he's a great guy. Like, we're not going to be ever in a relationship together, and that's fine. He is my foster penis until I find my forever penis.
I love your lingo. It's the best.
I'm not surprised by it at all. If you,
I know, but it's so great. Go ahead.
I love
Anita.
that you have a lot of different experiences that kind of like, because I feel like a lot of people feel pressure that it needs to be like you find your next person right away, and it's like the first person you date is going to be your chapter 2 or whatever we want to call them. And so I think it's also helpful to hear that, you know what, you might have to end a relationship with somebody. You might have to have 3 or 4 relationships. You might not find your chapter 2. You might date a lot of people, and that's okay. And also, I think the friends with benefit thing is pretty common. I don't think that I don't know if it's really common while you're dating other people. Maybe not. But I mean, that's a real thing too.
He is okay with me continuing to date, and I'm not having relations with other people. And once I get into a physical relationship with somebody else, then my friend with benefit relationship
coverage
will
will
just
lapse.
go back to being friends.
Yeah, that coverage will lapse.
But I do like the singles group that I'm in. And okay, I will share a revelation that I had recently. I was spending the majority of the last 2.5 years, my online stuff had all been in widow groups. A lot of widow humor groups, widow support groups. And so that was really my thought, was that I'm a widow. In June, when I joined this singles group, I started spending more time in the singles group, online, in person. And one day I just woke up and realized how much I was enjoying the singles group. And I started identifying as a single woman again, instead of like really identifying as a widow. And I will always be a widow. That will always be who I am. But I kind of got to embrace where I'm at in my life. Yeah, it sucks. At 47, I'm single and dating is a cesspool. But I'm a single woman. And so I'm making single girlfriends, single guy friends. We do things as group activities. You can find a lunch date really easily, not necessarily male, but I've made a really good girlfriend in the group as well. So it's really exciting.
A lot of us think, okay, my person's dead, I'm dead too. Or like Anita was saying, a lot of times people may think that the first person that comes along is going to be the chapter 2 or, you know, the end all be all. And it's not true. And then there's loss that can come from that. And that's a whole other thing. Yeah. So I think it's great that you're sharing your experiences.
Well, and even with the guy that ended things with me because of the other girl, I felt like I kind of tried to have closure with him a week ago, Tuesday. And he still tries to keep things open-ended with me. Like, things might not work out with her. and just, you never know what's going to happen in the world and the universe, and we could get thrown back together. And I'm kind of like, no, like if you had to choose between me and somebody else, you're not my person. So I don't want him coming back later.
Yeah.
And while I did want him to be my person for a long time, I've kind of realized like he is not it. There's somebody out there that'll check all the boxes, and I'm not in any rush. I don't want to get married again. I can't have kids, so that's not a priority. So just try and enjoy all these experiences. They make for some good stories.
For sure. Oh man. Well, thank you, Lisa. Marianne, were you going to say something?
I got a lot to say. I
Go
would
for
love
it.
to be 47 again.
I wanted to ask you, since you've moved and because you mentioned your age and trying to find somebody, what's it been like for you? Tell us your experience.
It's been really shitty.
I'm sorry, I'm
So-
laughing. I just
No,
love you.
I mean, I'm listening to Lisa, 30 messages. Oh my God, singles. I'm getting lunches and coffee dates. I get shit. So I have never done online dating. So in April, I consciously decided to do this. I can't even meet single women. It's like, anyway. So it's pretty lonely. Live by myself, even though I moved to be around my family. They're busy working. And so I decided to go on online dating. Never had done that before. I was single. I got divorced in my mid-40s. And then to my 10 years, I was just exploring who I am and the world. And then I met Brian. We were both in our 50s, and we were married 16 years. And then he dropped dead on me he's just 68 and I'm 72. And so we used to laugh and joke about, I would say, I'm going to die first because I'm older, I drink more, I cuss more, I have low morals. And he would laugh. And he would say, oh, you're just going to find a pool boy. We laughed about that. And I said, well, if I go first, you're going to have the widows all lined up with casseroles. So we would laugh about that. And I really don't want a pool boy. I would just like a man around my age. I miss I haven't been touched or kissed in over a year and a half. That's hard. My husband and I, my LH, had a great sex life. And it's really a big part of who I am. And it's really not that I want to date to find someone to have sex with, but I love friends with benefits, Lisa. Nice. That's not happening. I feel at my age, I feel pretty invisible. Bend is a very young community. I love live music. I go to concerts. They're like 38, 45, 20. When I did the online dating, oh my God. So I thought it was a pretty cool profile, some very recent pictures, kind of fun. And I got one message. And so I checked him out and I thought, yeah, so we met for a beer. He talked about his 3 previous wives. And I'm like, oh, this isn't what I'm looking for. That was it. And so there has not been anything since May 1st. So it's really, I'll message guys. I don't get anything back. And I think that's almost kind of rude. It's like, can't you just say I'm not interested? Something rather than just nothing. Because if someone messages me, I always try to respond like, you live 4 hours away. I'm looking for someone locally. But so it hasn't been too great for my ego, but I thought, I'm okay with that when it's right. And I've always met men just being out. I don't go to church. I don't volunteer. And I'm not working anymore. So I'm just going to let it, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I think I signed up for a match for 6 months and we'll see. But I find a lot of men, I don't know how old you are, Mark, in my age group, they seem not, I mean, the pictures are really old. This one guy he had a monkey on his shoulder, and I'm like, oh God. But it's just, I feel that they're very content with their life already. And it's like, why are you on Match?
If you have a monkey, what else do you need? I mean,
that's true.
Right? That's hashtag goals.
Yeah, I did respond though. And I did say, hey, you look like a nice guy. Why don't you smile more? And the last two pictures, could you, instead of the monkey, why don't you replace it with yourself? And I said that to somebody, and they said, you did that? And I went, just trying to help. Get the damn monkey off your shoulder, hiding your face. I don't know. I'm trying to stay really open there. I know there's great men. I'm trying to stay open. I don't want the pot belly, but I don't care if they have hair or not. They have to be at least my age, my height or taller.
How tall are you?
5'9".
Okay, I say I have two ideas. One, we need Operation Get Marianne some dates because she's the best. So
Yeah.
we're gonna put a call out. And number two,
Yep.
you brought up that people don't even write back, and that's so interesting because ghosting is so common now. That's like the preferred way of people letting someone know that you're not interested. But also, like, I'm 40. When I was in my 20s, ghosting was not yet a thing. That kind of evolved over time. And so on behalf of all the generations that have started the ghosting thing, I'm so sorry, Marianne.
You know, I've lived a long time and experienced a lot, and it's like, but I think that the Northwest, there's a lot of short men.
oh my goodness.
Okay, we're gonna do Operation Marianne Needs a Date.
Or a friend with benefits.
Yes, that's 5'9" or taller, preferably 5'10" or taller.
No monkey, no pot belly.
Yeah.
Everything else goes.
Yeah, I'm athletic. Hot bellies with the t-shirt over it. It's not attractive. Crocs and cargo port shorts, no.
My dad just died and he was 73, and when you say you're 74 and I think of my dad at 73, I swear you guys are like 4 generations apart because you're spry and like you'd like to go out and do concerts and stuff, and like to me you're like 30. So
I do a lot of things that I haven't met any women that do things that I do at my age.
yeah.
And I won't share any of that, but yeah.
So whoever
I'm a fucking catch.
you are.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Mark, will you tell us some of your experiences? You said you had done some dates and
Yeah, help me
Oh,
figure it out.
yeah, I made a conscious decision probably maybe 4 months ago to date a little bit, like I say. And so I kind of went on a few apps and did a few things. And I think I dated someone for a few months and then she kind of broke it off on me. So that's, it's fine. I didn't mind that part. It's the way it was done by a text after 2 months. It wasn't like went on 1 or 2 dates. I thought that was kind of chicken shit. So it's like, at least call me up on the phone or say, hey, you know what, it's not working, whatever, which is fine. It's fine. I'll give myself 24 hours. Okay, next, whatever. I don't care. Life is short, right? So no, I think some of the challenges I find, I mean, I know it was Lisa was saying she want to be considered single. And I'm like, I get it. I think the challenge that I run into is, like, say I'm 50, I have a 6-year-old. Most people my age are empty nesting it. Even some of the 44, 45-year-olds out there are empty nesting it. So, unless you got some with kids within, 4 or 5 years of my age, I can't imagine too many people that want to be with someone that has a 6-year-old at this age, especially when they're empty nest. So they want to start going out and getting crazy or traveling and doing a lot of stuff. I'm not quite there. So I've got a ways to go. So, but, I made a decision. I mean, I'm social. I'm somewhat of a social person. I like to go out and do stuff. I don't want to just sit home all the time. And, I want to go out and have adult time, whatever that may be. I don't care if it's just going out and having a beer. I just need some adult time out of the house, away from kids, So, but anyways, I mean, I've done some of the apps. I think I have one that's active. Maybe I'm not really getting much on it, So, but I also belong to a few of the widower private groups that are like friendship, last dating, whatever. So I talk to a fair amount of people. There hasn't really been ones that are local per se. I mean, I kind of connect a little bit and have some good discussions and stuff, but nothing yet. I mean, I'm kind of dabbling a little bit here and there and talking to some, but I mean, when you got people in Oregon or out in Pennsylvania, it's probably be a little more challenging. So, I mean, that's how I kind of look at it. Like I say, it's just, I think my biggest challenge is probably where I'm at, age and the family dynamics right now. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like I say, I think that's probably my biggest challenge. Now, as far as being emotionally ready or whatever, I mean, I knew I was ready. I enjoy being out, and I don't feel like I mean, self-proclaimed. I don't feel like I have any hangups. I don't feel guilty about it. I mean, the one thing that I will share is, my wife at the time, she was so concerned because she's like, I don't want some other woman raising our daughter. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of our daughter. Don't I'm very protective. Like I say, even the one that I saw for a few months never came to my house, never met my kids. I'm not gonna, I'm very protective about that part of it. So trust me, I'm not looking for a mom. So I can very well take care of my own. I always did, even my marriage and prior to, this is my second marriage. So I finally got it right the second time around, even though it was short-lived. We were together 10 years and married just under 8. So yeah.
So Mark, you've brought up something that I think a lot of widows and widowers deal with, and that is dating with kids. So some of you have kids, some of you don't have kids, but I'm curious if some of you can just speak to quickly how you deal with having that conversation with your kids that you're going to start dating, whether you have that conversation, and what their reaction has been to the idea of you dating.
I didn't tell my kids for about 3 weeks after I started dating, and because I was afraid. I didn't want to bring them into the equation if this was not going to be a thing. So I didn't tell him anything for about 3 weeks. And when I realized, okay, I'm starting to really like this guy, even though I was kind of stiff arming him a bit, but I finally told the kids, and my daughter lost her mind. My son, being a police officer, immediately started checking court records, and
that's so handy.
I know, it really was convenient. Like and the guy's clean as a whistle. Like, it's not even a close call. So Timothy was like, all right, he's sitting there and I'm still talking, and he's on his phone pulling up, documents and tax records and anything he can find. He's pulling this up. And my daughter just lost her mind. She wanted no part of it. She said, you went off with someone and you didn't tell us you were going. And I said, I told a friend where I was going to be. She said, something could have happened to you. And I said, which is exactly why I told someone else, another adult, so that if something did happen to me, someone knew where I was. She just went ballistic. And it didn't go well. It did not go well with her at all. My son, once he realized the guy was clean, he was like, okay, we'll just see what happens. And he's been cool about it. He and Phil have met, and and my daughter's okay with it now, but it took her a long time. He would come in, Phil would be over here at the house, and she would come in and he would say, hey, Abigail, and she wouldn't even acknowledge him. Like, it was, she and I had to have a showdown about, we're going to show common courtesy, heifer, or you and I are going to go to the floor and one of us is not going to come back alive. And so she got better, and it's okay, but it was really dicey with her in the beginning. She was very much a daddy's girl, and so as far as she was concerned, I was going to die unhappy and alone without her daddy, and that's how she preferred it. But she's warming up to the idea, and she's doing much better.
Thank you. Elise, do you want to add something to that?
Okay, this is where I shine, you guys.
Yes. Let's hear it.
Okay, so my husband died while I was pregnant with our twins. And then also one of the twins died as well. So infant loss and husband loss. The surviving twin, they came 3 months early. So they were actually in the NICU for 3 months. And then
Perfect.
I also had the 7-year-old at the same time. So I
All
have
of
2
this
boys
sounds great.
now
Yeah.
anyway. So currently I have a 1-year-old and an 8-year-old. And obviously the 1-year-old has no idea about dating because he doesn't even talk. The 8-year-old, I did kind of was like, hey, do you know what dating is? Like, he's like, no. And I was like, okay, well, if mommy's gone a little bit more, I'm just going to go like make friends, maybe with some other people. I talked to his therapist about it. She literally ripped me a new one. She said, absolutely do not tell him about anything that you are doing. That is not. In the end, we broke up with her because she was just like very judgmental, because she was like, oh, would you tell him if you were going to go have surgery on your uterus? And I was like, yes. And she was like, that's not appropriate. And I was like,
What?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. She was very judgmental about like female issues and like separating it. And I was like, no, we're going to be open. So anyway, getting babysitters is super difficult. It's the worst. And then being the age I am, men think I am open to having children. So more than one occasion, they've broken it off with me after a date or two because I said I'm not having more kids. And they were like, going into it, they were like, I maybe want kids. I don't know. And then they'll tell me, you know what? I want kids. And I was like, oh, I'm just so amazing that obviously they want to bring more life into this world. But yeah, I say, no, I'm not having more kids. And they say, oh, I require children now. And I already have two. Like, people are coming in with their own children. Like, merging families is a thing. I haven't had any relationships. I'll say that right now. It's only been like the longest dates I've been on is like 2, maybe. And that was like one time. So dating with little kids is horrifying. And yeah, that's it.
Now, on the other end of a spectrum, I'd love to get Suzanne's perspective, because Suzanne does not have kids. I don't have kids. Lisa, you don't have biological kids, right? Yeah?
Nope.
So, totally different situation, but also a situation, like, you don't have to introduce kids, right? But there are definitely hard things that come with being just one person.
Yeah, it is different, right? Because so I didn't say my age up front. I'm 44. My partner passed when I'm 42. And so when he died, I was like, oh man, I still have the other half of my life. So at some point, I'm clearly going to have to date, because I don't want to go through the next 45 years of my life alone. But similar to Lisa, I was like, I'm not going to date for a year so that I don't do something I regret. Because again, all these other widow groups, people put that in there. And I was like, yes, don't do that. But the irony, so I've never been one to want children, and maybe my partner may have, but he was open to not having kids. So we just like never wanted kids or never had them. We had a dog instead. And the irony now is I've been seeing someone for a year and he has 3 children. And so now I have to understand, I have to learn how to work with someone else's children. The positive of him having these children is that these children are at least teenagers. So I can talk to them like they're normal adults. Like, I can say terrible things and just be kind of normal with them, because if it was like anything younger, I wouldn't be able to behave well enough to be near them. And then this would just be a terrible situation. So I understand. But it is true, right? Like, dating people in my age range and a little bit older, it is difficult to find people who don't have children to date. So finding someone else who is in the same situation as mine is pretty tough. And I wouldn't like, I don't know, I got lucky because I met somebody. So I had met somebody a few months after my partner passed away, because I was introduced by a coworker who was a widow to another coworker who was a widow. And so we started hanging out. And the first coworker who I met, who was a widow, she introduced me to this widow support group, if you will. And so we were all doing things together. And then, but the other widow that we work with, that she introduced me to, we hung out a bunch and like did stuff together, and they're further along, so they started dating. And we're making a lot of fun of the whole dating app situation, because they were doing it like it was homework, like it was regimented, it was math, and they were just hitting these numbers, because statistics. And anyway, so I was like, finally it was my turn after a year, and I was like, all right, I'm going to join. This is going to be the worst, because I don't want to be alone forever. Even if whether I'm ready or not is not the issue. Like, it doesn't matter. It's math. Because I just assume I'm going to need to date for a really long time to meet somebody. And then I set up my profile, turned it on, and was like, oh boy, this is no. Like the second swipe was like my downstairs neighbor. Like, no.
No.
A few more swipes, it was a coworker.
Wait, but did any of them have a monkey?
No, I've been places with monkeys, so wouldn't have been. I would have been like, good for you, I guess. Do you have rabies vaccination? Can we talk about this? Anyway, open up with that line. Maybe they'll say yes. Anyway, so I was like, this is so awful, and I really liked this guy, this widower coworker, and we've been hanging out a bunch, and because we worked together, it was kind of like, don't do that. But it was so like, I was like, my prospects are so poor. I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to tell this guy I like him. And like, let's see how it goes. Like, maybe it's not appropriate, but also I just had my partner die. And so my will to like have a good life and feel joy is much stronger than it's ever been. So anyway, I got lucky because at least initially he said no, but then came back and said yes. And like, we've been together, been seeing each other ever since. I think given that there are his children in the picture, they'll probably be the gating factor if this works out, right? Because they have to be cool with my existence, which when I drop in and visit, it's fine because it's ultra temporary in their minds, right? I don't know where they are. And he'll have children in his home for a few more years until they go off to college, right? So who knows, like it may fall apart from that alone, because if we can't progress our relationship past where it is today because of those children, that's not the relationship I'm signing up for, right? So even if you meet someone you like, you may not have met each other at a time and a circumstance where it's actually going to be a relationship.
How does this even happen? How does it ever work out? I'm feeling very
luck. Anything, I don't know, maybe with a little bit, with what we've gone through in age, I just assume you come to terms with certain things, right? Like you'll be like, okay, I can work with this, and there are deal breakers, like what Marianne said earlier. 100%, there are deal breakers. Like I went on one date, I call it burner date. That was just like to break the seal. And I went on this burner date and was like, oh my God. Like he had the nerve to be like, I don't understand why women want to date men who are economically stable. And I was like, yes, that's right. That is right. Ask me again. Like, I'm like, tell me what you do again. Oh, you don't work. I can see why you have that opinion. But also, like, clearly society has set it up so that women have to give a crap about this stuff. Like, anyway, so, I go on one date like that and I'm like, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
I have a question for the group, and anybody can jump in and answer this. Have any of you started dating somebody and then realized you're just dating them to try and fill a void like that your partner had, and that you're not really into them, but you're into the idea of them? Has that happened to any of you?
I haven't really dated. I just had that one date, but I questioned that. Because I do enjoy men. I like male conversation. I like the energy. And so I think I started dating because I just wanted to go out for dinner or get a beer, because I do enjoy men. And so I don't know if I was doing that to fill a void, maybe, because I am pretty lonely. But I'm getting used to it. So anyway, I think that maybe that's the void, just having someone, so this is attracted to me enough that they would go out with me. There's something about that, meeting a guy and then having them like, hey, let's go out for coffee. I mean, that's kind of a nice ego boost, but that's not happening. So that's the online dating. So I think that's filling a void for me. Not that I want a long-term relationship, get married again, but like Suzanne said, she's in her 40s and I'm 74 and I still feel that I've got, plenty of time left to have a relationship.
You're going to be 107 when you check out of here. Seriously. Well, Marianne, I'm just like, you are so cool that there has to be a guy as cool or close to as cool as you. And that's the problem. The problem is not you. The problem is...
Yeah, right. And that's the thing, is just being patient. and just not not force it. Somebody will show up and go, hey, want to get a beer? Or, hey, you want to go for a walk?
It's that old annoying thing. It'll come when you least expect it, which is so annoying, but also true.
Yeah.
So,
Suzanne, you said that you wondered if you were doing that. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
I mean, it's so, right? Like sometimes you want what you want, but you also have to question the drivers of what it is you want or what it is you're going to do, right? Like, is my codependency kicking in, right? Like I had a partner for a really long time. Is it like, because I'm used to being around somebody else that I want to be with somebody else versus like, I like who I am and this new person is additive to my life.
that's something that's so important to think of because, yeah, codependency, if it's truly codependency, can lead to some big, hard situations. So it's good that you're like cognizant of those things.
It's like you get used to being with somebody, you're married, whatever it is. And I think sometimes it's maybe difficult at the end of the night when you're sitting there and you don't have your person to talk to. Not that that's the reason you're dating and stuff, but I mean, we're all meant to be social individuals, social to a certain extent. And not that I need it. I mean, but I do get enjoyment out of chatting with somebody else or even text, whatever it is, and I think that's human nature to be social. But like I say, I'm not, like I tell people, I'm in no rush. And I see people that are pressed, I'm like, stop pressing. You're pressing too hard. Just need to just be natural with it and let stuff happen and don't press so hard on yourself. It's just like work or anything else when you're pressing to get a job or interviews, whatever it is. It's like if you're pressing hard, you have to make sales, whatever people are doing, it just never seems to work out well for you if you're doing it that way. So, and this is probably no different, at least in my opinion. I mean, you know what? I think what Stan said. It's a number thing, right? You go out and just go out on some dates and see how it goes. That doesn't mean that you have to be in a relationship right away. I mean, it's just one of those like, hey, go out and have the social aspect of it and be around other people and kind of decide what you do and don't like. I mean, I haven't been with a lot of people. I mean, I've been in 2 marriages, so I really have not been exposed to a ton of dating. So it's a little different, and I'm not some player type guy. So it's kind of different for me because that's not how I roll. So, I look at it a little differently.
So I just have a comment, Mark. It's like, I'll go out and have a beer. I sit at a table by myself. So that's not quite, I mean, I like to be social. I took pickleball classes. I'm in a cornhole league, couldn't find a partner. My 15-year-old granddaughter is my partner. She's staying with me right now. It's been really fun. But it's like, I can go out for dinner by myself. I can, hike and walk and go out and have a beer, but it's just, I want to be social. And so that's the hard part for me is I just feel pretty invisible because, yeah. So, I'm home. I mean, I'm alone a lot. So when I go out, I'm in a crowd, but that's not really fun.
Maybe you need to find different type of groups that might work. I don't know. I mean, I know it sounds like you've tried a lot of groups. So I don't know. Ben's a tough place. I have a sister living up there. So yeah, I get it. It's probably a tough place to, especially with your age dynamics and but I haven't ever been there yet. But yeah, I can imagine if there's a little more challenging than being in a, metropolitan type city or somewhere. Not that Santa Fe was the greatest, but but anyways.
I kind of got into a TikTok war about what you were saying. This guy posted a video about the simple way for women to meet men was so stupid that why has no one thought about it? And he said that you just go out and do the things that the men you were looking for do. So if you want someone who camps, you go out and camp. If you want someone who hikes, you go out and hike. And so I responded with a stitch, so you can't talk or anything. And I was just making facial expressions. And I made a comment that I was like, this is very condescending that we did not think about this, but like you said, Marianne, oh yes, as a single lady, I'm definitely gonna go camping. And I'm gonna go see a group of guys over in the corner and be like, oh, hey, what's up over there? No, what, Mark, do you expect, no, I'm not gonna go out and go hiking by myself and like go up to a group of men and be like, I'm sorry, who's single here? Is there like someone single who's like looking for someone else right now? Or like, it's just this
And
is
also,
the
please
dating
don't
apps.
murder me.
Well, I was
Thank
like, that's
you.
like
Like also
serial
like
killer,
right?
like
Or like I'm gonna
101.
go to like an axe throwing place and be like, oh hi, like are you guys like single here? Because I'm here too. Like I'm gonna go top golf. Like what if I don't care if you golf, but like I enjoy a man who likes sports, but like I don't want to do sports. Like what am I what? No. No. So anyway, Marianne, I'm so sorry. But also like it is the place we're at too, because just like you're not supposed to really approach women anymore, and which is fine because there's like tons of creepers out there. But I think it's more just like if you look like you're kind of like an F off face, and like no one wears wedding rings anymore. So how are they supposed to know that you're single? You really need to go out with like a wing person. I mean, honestly, and like have someone set you up, or like it'd be like, hey, it's like if you like her, is she cute or whatever, and then you don't feel bad when they are like, oh, I'm in a relationship. Like I was on the phone with a guy today at work, and he sounded cute, and I almost wanted to be like, are you single? Like I don't know. Like how are you supposed to know? We need like badges or something that's like I'm single and I'm looking. Instead, like this is what the dating apps. This is why I like the dating apps, because I'm like, thank you, you're single. You may ghost me, but at least I didn't like fall in love with you at first sight and be like, oh, he's married. It's okay. Never mind. Never mind. So
I just have a really quick comment. When I do meet this guy that is the competition in the cornhole league I belong in, so damn cute, so fun. I said, do you have a grandfather? I tried.
Yeah.
He said, oh, he's married. I said, oh, damn. I mean, I do ask these 40-year-olds if they have grandfathers, you know, or even fathers.
I've started telling my sad story to like random people I meet. So I was up on, I don't know if anyone knows Mackinac Island. I was up there like a couple weekends ago, and I met this couple. And so I told them my like abridged story. I was like, find my next husband. Please find my next husband. They're like, okay. I was like, they're like, who are your friends that live here? And so I introduced them. And so I've got like a little network now of like going on, like finding my next husband. They know if it's a Mackinac Island person, they need a cabin up there. I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna like marry up this time, right? They need like
The guy that I went out with on Sunday for lunch, I started talking to him because he had a monkey in his picture.
What if it was the same one as Marianne? You gotta give up all the dirt. I have a question for you, Lisa and Anita, that have been in relationships, and anybody, you of course feel free to answer. How have you integrated your dead person into your relationship or into your own life with a new person, or how do you have those conversations, or what issues have you run into, if any?
We made a conscious decision very early on that our spouses, our late spouses, were going to be a very present being in what we're doing right now. We talk about our spouses when we have moments where something hits you just right, and you have a little grief wave, and the other one says, it's cool, it's whatever. We talk about that stuff. Like we compare notes, and not in a weird way about like, well, she didn't do it that way. Like not like that, but in how we related to our person, what our relationship was like, how we talked to each other. They're definitely very much a part of it. I didn't want to. I mean, you wouldn't want to be with someone that stopped loving someone just because they died, and or stopped acknowledging them. I have two children that it's still their dad. That's still their daddy, and I don't want them to ever feel like they can't talk about their dad in front of the new man I'm dating. So he and I have definitely made that a very conscious decision, that our late spouses are a part of our everyday lives, and we do talk about them and acknowledge them on a regular basis.
With the guy that I dated for a year and a half, at least, like, he knew what he was getting into. He approached a widow, and there were big moments during that, and like I still get grief waves, and you'd have your big days, and just knowing that I needed extra support those times. And he was he was really good. But I think the important thing is knowing that we never stop loving our person. Your heart just expands and you make room for somebody else. I did stay living in my house that we had together for a long time. I did recently move, and that was huge. And he was very supportive of my move, even though we were kind of ending our relationship at the time. But it was an important step for me. But he was the only guy that I had allowed to come into my space that I'd shared with Derek. In the beginning, I did have a picture of Derek up, and that kind of got a little bit weird. I still think it was kind of weird, but Derek was sitting on a dresser in a bedroom, and I don't know, the things that we were doing. A little odd. And I've even had weird feelings about, now that I've moved, bringing Derek with me. Like, I don't want to be responsible for his ashes anymore. I don't know.
It's complicated, huh?
There are lots of complicated things and layers of stuff, but I know that some widows and like the support groups and stuff mention that in their profiles they don't put that they're a widow, and I don't necessarily advertise it, but as soon as I start talking to somebody, they're gonna know that I'm a widow.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel like that's something that I can't discuss, because grief is going to be a huge part of my life for the rest of my life.
So I actually do advertise that I'm a widow in all of my profiles because it's not something that I want anyone to be blindsided by. So at the end, I'm always just like, I'm a widow and I have 2 children. The weird thing that's been coming up lately is I still refer to as my husband. And so for the last 2 guys, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry if this is weird, but I feel like I'm too young to have a late husband. And I feel like he was too young to be a late husband. So he's just still my husband. I was like, if it bothers you, I can just call him Matt by his first name. And both of them are like, of course not. He is still your husband. You can definitely still call him your husband. So that was really sweet on both of their parts, especially in my case where I have to bring up the widow thing first, because actually it seems like the men are usually more affected by the infant loss than they are by the widow part. So for some reason they can wrap their minds around losing someone. And I think probably because they're single, they don't understand what it's like to love someone so completely, I suppose, that they're like, oh, you lost your husband. That's so sad. I'm sure you have problems in your marriage. And then I hit them with oh, yeah. Well, I did. Actually, my baby died as well. And they're like, oh my God. Oh, are you okay? How did you deal with that? I don't know if anyone's been hit with well, how did you cope? How did you get through it? I was like, well, that's very personal. I don't think you have anything to do with how did I cope? And do you want the actual physical mechanics of how I coped with it? Or a transcript of my therapy sessions?
I heard they were real bad.
Okay. Are you just being polite somehow? But yeah.
So here's a question for you all, and it kind of ties into that. Everybody is going to interact differently. So what do you guys think the definition of a successful relationship might be post-loss?
I will say in my relationship with Derek, he was my world. When I got with him, I was at one of the lowest points in my life. He saw something in me. He helped bring my confidence back. But from that point on, he was the widower and raising a small child. So I just kind of dove right into that. Being a stepmom, which really is full-time. I was a mom. He started his own business. I helped him run his business, build the business. Everything was about the family and Derek. And I stopped focusing on personal goals, professional goals of my own. So whenever he died, suddenly, I had no clue who I was. I was completely, I had no identity outside of that relationship. So going forward, I have to retain some individualism and independence from the relationship. Like it definitely has to be a partnership at this point instead of me pouring so much of myself into a relationship. So the one relationship that I did have was long distance. So I would spend 2 to 3 days with him, and then I would come back home and spend like 7 to 10 days alone or doing my own things with friends, focusing on work, and then we'd see each other again. And I like that arrangement because it did make me maintain some independence. And so going forward, that's what I want. I want somebody that I can build with, but I want to still be important part of the relationship too.
I think that's really healthy to have a good relationship with yourself, and it will set you up to have a healthy relationship in conjunction with someone else. So
I also love that you are taking your relationship and you've kind of looked at it. You know, we tend to look at our loved ones who have died with rose-colored lenses and our relationship.
I did that for a long time.
And I think that there are things to learn from each of our relationships, no matter how wonderful our marriages was. You can learn things about yourself and how you related to other people and say to yourself, like, I would like to do this better next time, and use that as a springboard to having a better relationship and not just trying to replace the relationship that was. So I love to hear you saying, like, I loved him, like he was my world. And this time around, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. So I think that's really cool too. Elise, your turn.
So I don't know if I'm just like old school or what, but like to me, a successful relationship is marriage and ending up together. I still don't know if I want to be married again, but honestly, that's my goal. Like, I mean, dating goals, that's what I say. I want a long-term relationship that's kind of forever. Unfortunately, Matt and I, he was the only person I ever knew. We started dating when I was 17 and he was 18. So I just want to go right back to, I want to fast forward. Mark was talking about people like pushing, like that's me. I'm the pusher. I'm like, I don't care about your favorite color. Like let's get to the end. Like, let's do this because like I feel bad saying in this group, I'm too old for this. Like, I don't care. Like, let's just get to the end. And like, we're just going to be together forever.
No pressure.
No pressure. It's fine.
But there's no
I'm an
biological
intense
clock
person.
anymore.
So there's like a human clock. Like, clearly we all know that. And like, I don't know, like I understand not looking at your relationship through rose-colored glasses, but like honestly, mine, there wasn't any problems. We had, honestly, like it was perfect. It was disgusting. So
were you perfect in that relationship, Elise?
Yeah.
Okay.
Clearly I'm perfect all the time.
Perfect.
No, so but like I don't, and it's funny that you say that because like I don't actually want to compare it like that either. So like I don't want to look back at my relationship and think about like what could be different or what he could do different or what I could do different, because then like the weird comparisons start popping up. And like I really have consciously not tried to compare anyone that I'm dating with Matt. I cannot do it.
That's a whole other topic.
Exactly. So I don't know, like, and how you interact with someone new will be completely different. So I can't tell you if I'll be different or if anything my person is dead, so I cannot ask him, what would you change about the way I interacted with you from day to day? So, that's his fault for dying. And obviously I'm just going to go forward thinking I was perfect the whole time.
I love it. That's great. Marianne, do you want to tell us your opinion?
Relationships after your husband's dead. What you want. So Brian and I had both been married before, 10 years single, and then we met in our 50s. So we were pretty damn wise, really had done a lot of work, personal growth work. And so I had been in a loveless marriage for 23 years. And so the three things that I felt in my marriage with Brian, I felt safe, I felt seen, and I felt cherished. And those three things to me, because I had never experienced that before. And so we thrived. I did have an astrology reading and she compared our charts and she said, oh my God, you guys had a soul agreement to come in this lifetime and just have fun. And I'm like, yep, that's
Awesome.
exactly what it was.
Wait a
Except for
minute.
now it's not fun. You
No.
did.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Why can't you just find an astrologist now who will point you to the person that made a moon pact with you or whatever it was?
Soul or something. Yeah.
You gotta reverse engineer this situation.
Oh, I don't know. I figure Brian will find somebody for me. I know that when it's time. Maybe. No. I'm not pushing anything anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah.
Mark?
Yes. So I guess for me, I mean, for myself and my wife at the time, we both came from marriages where pretty much we weren't enough. So we always kind of probably going into our marriage questioned ourselves, why are you with me? Am I enough? But we were enough. And like I say, probably didn't have the perfect marriage, but we fought for it very hard and we were in a good place. So I guess for me, just going forward, like I say, like something to mention here, I've dated, I just don't compare. I mean, everybody's unique and individual. And the last thing I would do is compare. I never compared with my late wife from my first marriage. It's not what I did. I never did that. So I don't plan to do it now. I mean, everyone's got something unique to offer or to add or whatever it is in the dating and relationships that I enter going forward. So, I mean, to me, I am kind of a marriage guy. I'm not going to push it, but at the end of the day, I think I would want to be married again. That's kind of my end goal. I'm not going to hardcore press. I'm not going to put a full court press on it, but that's my dream down the way. I mean, I think there's just something, I mean, not that a piece of paper does anything, but when you have your person or find that person where you connect and, it's a glance across the room or just knowing someone's got your back, you got their back, whatever it is. Unspoken words, just being there. It's not like you have to go out and do everything all the time, but sometimes just sitting there. Doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be anything, just knowing that you're together and that you're there for each other. But yeah, I guess, picket fence, 2.5 dogs, 1.5 kids, whatever, I'm a simple guy. Be nice to me and feed me. We'll probably get along pretty good. I'm a guy. You guys know how guys are. They're easy.
I honestly, going into this a few months, I'm a planner by nature, and probably about 6 months after my husband died, just for the sake of wondering, I need to know like what the expectations are. And I did a little research, and the odds of someone being widowed at 48 and remarrying were like 7%. Like it's a crappy, the odds are so not in favor of it. So I was like, okay, cool. At least I know these are my expectations. I'm not going to be getting married again. It's probably never going to happen. And so moving forward, this is going to be, I'm going to be alone. I will travel alone. I will do the empty nest thing alone, which, I did that 13 months after my husband died. My youngest moved out. So I went from happily married to a widow to an empty nester in a 13-month time period. So this whole relationship thing was completely unexpected. And he would tell you, he thought after a couple of dates, he was like, this chick is not ready for this. And because we've had that talk, because I stiff armed him. I was like, okay, yeah, you're really nice. And he's kind and good and all of the things that I wanted and knew that I wanted. But I stiff armed the crap out of him for a couple of months. And then finally was like, oh, this guy's so nice. I really do like him. And it's been wonderful. And yes, the marriage discussion has come up. When that will happen, I have no idea. It's just a matter of, do we see that happening? And we both agreed, probably so. So we'll see. I didn't think that would ever be another end goal for me, because again, I expected I was going to be alone. But it's I didn't realize how much I had actually craved it until I had it. And it is so comforting. And it's been so good.
Oh man, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I think this is going to be really helpful to a lot of people. We want to finish up by asking you one question, and just if you can quickly tell us what's one piece of advice that you would give yourself or to other people who are maybe starting the dating journey.
Just be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. There's so much that's going to come up as far as the emotions that you're going to be fraught with in that process. Be gentle with yourself, and just know that it might not go perfect the first time around, or the second time around. It may take a little while, but always just be gentle with yourself and realize you're still in the middle of a healing process, no matter how far out you are.
Don't push anything. Don't force relationships. That's when you end up settling. If it's meant to be, it'll be. Try it all. Have fun.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to say, be patient, don't press, and never settle. Like I say, and just be ready. You're probably gonna get a disappointment or two along the way, and take it as an learning experience. And probably happened for a good reason. You might have dodged a bullet or two, but I know at the time it happens, it may not seem fun, but take it as a learning experience, and just keep always, like we've all done with our situations, we always keep moving forward, right? It's dating. It's not death. So
now I expect Elise to say everything the opposite of what people have said.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just going to give some practical advice.
Oh, okay.
I really wanted to make this joke earlier. It's okay if you want to fill that void, if you know what I mean. You can have different ideas of what you want from each different, in my case, man. Also, having a therapy session lined up like 2 to 3 days after you go on a date, like chef's kiss, beautiful. I definitely recommend this for everyone. Always plan them that way.
All of the above. Yes, expect the unexpected, stay open, just go with the flow, and be kind to yourself, and watch for those red flags. Don't try to make do when you've had the best, or when you want what you want. And I agree with Elise and Lisa about just whatever is going to fill your needs at the moment, or the day, the night, the week. So, yeah.
I love it. Thanks, you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that this episode has been helpful to you and gives you something to think about, something to maybe work towards, work with, feel normal about. Make sure you check out the Widow Wives Club. We have great discussions about this type of thing in there. It's our private Facebook group. Just make sure you answer all of the questions. If you want to keep the podcast going, check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/WWDN.
If you'd like to buy us tacos, go to buymeacoffee.com/widowwedonoww.
Until we talk to you again, I'm Anita.
I'm Mel. Elise, Lisa, Anita, Marianne, Mark, and Suzanne. We are many widowers.
We are many widows and widower, and we are all just trying to figure out widow.
We
do
now. This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep, Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it. And my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So
If somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys. Such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.